Welcome to Didn't Get the Memo, a podcast dedicated to interviewing and gaining insight from ultra-successful individuals who departed from convention to achieve their success. So, look, with your background, are you surprised with what you've achieved in life? Are you... Okay, I take it that, you may well have to pinch yourself and think, wow, didn't see this. But are you surprised that you became so successful?
I'm not going to say I'm not saying I'm surprised, because once your mindset is you can make it, you can do it, and if you, I keep saying the same, if you put enough into it and the determination and the will to want to succeed, and you've got a good product, I don't think it's as difficult as it sounds. You want to be a millionaire, then be a millionaire. But if you don't make it, the only person you can blame is yourself.
Absolutely.
There's certain things that you need. You've got to have the drive, you've got to have an enthusiasm, you've got to have a good product, you've got to work hard, and you've got to think on your feet. And I used to sort of, obviously make loads of decisions, and people say, well, how do you know about this? And why you was right on this and right on that? Well, the best way to go is by your instinct, that's for sure. And I worked it out that I've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. It's either yes or no, isn't it? And, some you get wrong, and then as long as you get the majority right, and then I used to think, well, it ain't difficult. Shall I buy another van? Yes or no? Shall I market this? And I think with business, people complicate it.
Yeah.
They complicate it.
Yeah.
Look, people used to go, oh, Pimlico's incredible, you're this, that, and the other. And I said, all we do is we do it the right way. If you do anything the right way, and you've got the drive and the will to succeed, you don't need degrees and you don't need brains, you just need determination and drive. Am I surprised at where I've got today? I probably was a few years ago, I was getting that way, but now I realise that I could have been a lot bigger. I could have been, we could have been national. We could be in quite a few countries. I've had all these offers in the past, but my problem is, I was happy with London. London's big enough, and I'll prove that point for us. But if I was going again, I'd think bigger. And often people say to me, there's no magic wand, you know what I mean, to it. And they say, what is your mindset like? And I said, always think bigger, but be realistic. And so if you want to employ 10 people, think I want to employ 100. And you might not get to 100, but you get more than 10. Yeah. You've got to think big, but you've got to be realistic. I mean, that's very, very important. And this is my belief. I believe that everybody's good at something. And once you find what that is, stick with it. I've never changed from plumbing. I've had, bought odd shopping and all that, and it was just like a waste of time. And I say to people that, once you know what you're good at, then stick with it. You must stick with it, because it's not overnight success. And many times, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, am I going to get there? Am I going to do this? Should I try something else? And also I'm thinking to myself, Charlie, you like plumbing. That's what you do. You're a plumber. Get on with it. Yeah. And you got to hang in there. Yeah. If it's a good product, of course. Absolutely. I mean, not being disrespectful to anyone, but if you're sweeping the roads, you're not going to wind up being a millionaire, are you?
No, absolutely. You've got to have the right vehicle. And then apply yourself to that vehicle, and if the vehicle's working for you. But I suppose it's difficult for some people to realise, do I move on? Is it the wrong vehicle? Am I leaving my farm to go and chase diamonds? Do I stay here? It's when, where, why?
You've got to take risks, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to take risks, you've got to make decisions, and you've got to be ambitious. There's many things you've got to be, but they're not things that you haven't got. Everybody's got these qualities. Yeah. But look, not everybody... wants to be a leader, and there's nothing wrong with working for someone and still being successful. But if you want to be successful, you've got to put your head above the parapet wall, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And you make an interesting comment which some people will be watching, thinking, did he just say that? He's just sold a company for 150 million, and if he could had his time again, he would have done it bigger. He would have fought bigger. Oh. You know what I mean? And it's interesting that your frame of reference, 150 is yeah, it's a lot of money, of course, and I know you'll recognise a lot of money, but you still know you could have done more.
Oh, easily.
You know, you still
I
could have
mean,
done more.
and I think unfortunately my accountant was working it out, which means I had to pay a lot of tax over the years. But he said to me that with the sale of the company and the money that you've earned over the years, you've had over 200 mil go through your hands. And I look at that, you know, I'm not necessarily being greedy, but there's nothing wrong with being greedy. And I think now that could have been 500 mil.
Yeah.
I just had to think bigger, and probably had to leave school earlier. I left school at 15, and I realised that was a very little education. You know, obviously, I'm not stupid. And I look back on that, I realised it was a big mistake. I should have left at 14, because I'd have had another year in the workplace, which means that my company would have been bigger, quicker, and you know, I would have gone on longer in the sense to, because I realise now that you know, it's not as difficult to be successful. People complicate it.
Yeah.
Complicate it.
Again, it's another interesting comment. I'm really enjoying speaking with you because you are making some statements which are so unconventional but so true. So true. You know, wish I'd left school a year earlier. And I'm certainly not advocating kids don't study and so on and so forth. You've got to do what you've got to do. But the message that I try to get out there is there's more than one way to make it to the top. And in fact, if you have left school early or you didn't get the qualifications, that's no impediment. You can still fly. And in fact, of those I've studied over the years, I've lived a really odd life in terms of studying people, successful people since a kid, since a 12-year-old kid. But those who were ultra successful usually didn't finish school.
Yeah.
Usually left school early without qualifications. Yeah. Those who left with the qualifications, ironically, they ended up in the professional roles and they earned just enough so they didn't quit, but not enough to be really happy. And they lived a life of worries. And it was those who had to fight and make a real huge success of themselves. Otherwise, it was do or die. A lot of them did. A lot of them did really well, you know.
Yeah.
Clearly, some of them didn't. You know, some people just didn't make it. But it was all down to the individual. And as you say, it's not about the qualifications. It's not about the degrees. It's about working hard. It's about sticking with it. It's about persevering. It's about finding that vehicle. And it's about thinking big, ambition, and so on and so forth, and taking risks. There's a lot that goes into it.
Exactly. Look, there's life without a degree, that's for sure. And, you know, of course you need to be fairly academic, you know, especially plumbing these days, you've got a lot more technical. And that's all an advantage. But the most important thing is, you know, not necessarily spending 4 years at university and then come out with a Mickey Mouse degree. I mean, I used to have people that left university and want to join us. And I wouldn't, if I'm being honest, I didn't employ many people with degrees because they haven't got the work experience. But I had a few busybodies come from university, and he had a degree in sculpture. I mean, you know.
Yeah, we can do that.
He's got, you know, got no. And I don't know if this is true, but someone else was telling me that someone had a degree in windsurfing. I mean, you know, it's not real. You know what I mean? And you know, and I had, you know, lots of guys that come out of the city years ago when it became fashionable to be a plumber. And I think it was called Posh Plumbers, a documentary we done, and they was all leaving their banking. And I took a few on, and they made a success of it. They've got their own business today. And, you know, I'd imagine being a banker, he was doing well, but, you know, you've got to break away from the norm.
Yeah, absolutely. Break away from the norm for sure, and you need to ride the storms, right? Because you could have easily, if you listened to that first liquidator and just packed it all in and sort of rode off with the tail between your legs, we wouldn't be here now.
For sure.
You fought back. And, you know, what was your self-talk at that time? You know, you're probably bricking it, thinking I'm about to lose it. You know, what's your self-talk there? And your story's not dissimilar to me. You know, I've been there. There are many people who have done really well, who have been there and shaky ground. What was your self-talk at the time? What were you saying? What was the inner Charlie saying to Charlie in that time?
Well, Arthur was saying I'm a failure. You know, I've got this wrong, and what's going wrong here, and maybe I'm not as clever as I thought, and maybe this, maybe that. And then I thought, but I'm turning over £1 million. There's got to be something here. It's got to be. And I changed the accountant, I changed everybody. Like, I changed every member of staff because I didn't think it was me that got it wrong. And then when I changed them and had this lot more sort of focus and, all right, we've got to get this right. You know, you don't often get a second chance. And I just survived by, you know, with nearly losing our house, and, you know, I had a bank loan and you know, bought this building, and, it's just. I mean, look, I realised that it wasn't necessarily my fault. It was a recession was just round the corner. Maybe I was the only one that didn't see it. I just borrowed £250,000 from a bank, and then they put pressure on us on this. You haven't got the assets no more. And after that, I just didn't deal with banks. I mean, they're crooks in suits in my eyes. It's them that you know, it's them that sort of put the pressure on you and don't help you. My take is they lend you an umbrella as long as it's not raining.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was paying 17% interest at the time. 17% interest, and they try to like you close me down and nick my car and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, something ain't right. So all of a sudden, I just felt myself, look, let's like I know I was on a winning horse. I knew that, and I just really had to just sort of be a little bit more direct and firm with it. And yeah, and look, I knew in a way I was always going to be successful, but no, I didn't think it would be as successful as this. But now I realised that if I'd have only thought bigger, I'd probably own this block now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
so you're a failure. You failure, Charlie. No, I'm joking.
I'm looking at you there. I mean, well, and now I think it's a £10 million apartment, and it's stunning, absolutely. And council flats are here. Did I expect it? No. Can it be achieved? Yes. And I've got some property in Spain and Dubai and some other stuff in London, and I think myself, it wasn't on the cards, but I realise now that you can make it. Normal people or strange people can make it.
You say strange, and you say that you're not normal. I hear people say to me, "You're not normal," and I say it's not that I'm not normal. I say I am normal. I'm unusual. Okay. I'm unusual.
Yeah.
And I think you're very unusual in the way that you have responded to the opportunity. And the opportunity didn't necessarily present itself like saying, "Hi, I'm an opportunity here to make money."
No.
It came looking like just an ordinary job. And the opportunities came looking like problems. And you've realised that in those problems, hold on a minute, there's a nugget here. If I can just iron them out, turn up early, dress properly, and we could be onto something here. But you had the wherewithal to recognise that many didn't. So you're unusual in that sense, for sure.
Yeah, it's unusual when you take a chance, and I haven't got everything right over the years, but the things that you get wrong, you move to one side and you learn by it. And now, I don't know if you know, but I've moved into the music industry now.
And I'm going to come on to that.
But what I'm trying to say, it's unusual. I mean, what do I know about music other than you hear it? But all of a sudden, I have an artist that's going to be a success. I also, you probably don't know, I own, I think, 25% of a radio station that I bought in at, Great British Radio, and this is gospel truth. I was offered the opportunity. I know the guy who started it, Mike Osmond, and he said to me, "Charlie, look, do you want to buy in on this? We're short of dosh. We think it's a success." And I knew straight away it's a winner. And I've just been talking to him today, and he said, "Do you know the company's valued double to since you've been on board?" I'm the chairman of it, and and I'm not saying, look, I ain't lucky. I mean, if I relied on luck, I wouldn't have been getting up in the middle of the night and working hard for 40 years. But you go by your instinct, and I don't invest in many things, but when he just said to me, when it's actually doubled, and I'm thinking, I didn't do it as a great investment. I've done it, if I'm being honest, to promote the musical side of my artists. They've got their own show, they can go on it when we want. And I'm just thinking that, you can be good at something, even if you don't know enough about it, but you just got to be, you've got to take risks, haven't you?
Yeah. And how much you say risk has played a part in your success. And I know it's difficult to quantify these things because there's so many different aspects to becoming successful, risk being part of it. But you've mentioned it a few times, and we talked about the sleepless nights, being uncomfortable. So it must be because risk is involved there. Did that play quite a big part in your evolution as a company to take it to where it got to?
Yeah, undoubtedly, because a lot of what I was doing was quite new to the industry. We used to have model vans. We had every marketing thing out there that to promote the company. And what plumbing company had PR 20 years ago? I took on the oldest worker in Europe, or oldest in the world.
I remember something about that.
Yeah, the geezer comes to me, 97, and he's in old people's home round the corner, and he walks past every day, the company, and I used to give him a score, I like to have a drink. He's always going down the pub, and he said, "I don't want your money, son." He said, "Let me do a bit of work for you." And I kept giving, his name was Buster, I'd give him a score here and there, and he said, "Look, I've got to pay you back." And I said, "What do you want to do then, Buster?" And I said to him, not being disrespectful, I said, "What do you want to do? Come in and sweep up the yard and that?" He went, "I'll do anything." He said, and then I said, "What about washing the vans? You know, having a little," and he went, "I'll do it anyhow." A couple of days later on a Monday, he turns up something like 6 o'clock before me. He's outside the yard, 97. Anyhow, I give him a job washing the vans, and a week later, we was packed out non-stop for the next, 7 years. He died at 104, unfortunately, and still working for me part-time.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, the press, and it never stopped. And of course, it's promoting Pimlico, and I didn't do it as a PR stunt. I honestly done it, you know, out of trying to help, you know, give him or he wanted to do it. And amazing, you know what I mean? And that was taking a chance, wasn't it?
But many people would have said, "No, he's too old. No, there's what if something goes wrong at work and we're responsible." So, but it's a chance as well.
Yeah.
You've taken.
But I mean, 97, and he worked. I would say, well, he worked part time. He didn't do long days. In the afternoon, he used to take his mum shopping.
How old was she? About 140.
So, do you know? He was in the marathon at 90. No, he was 101, and he was in the marathon. And I come up with the idea. I got him proper trainer, and we raised loads of money for charity. No, he didn't win it. You're right, but all it was about him being here. He completed it. I think it took him 10 hours, right? And I had a massive bet on it with William Mill. They said he won't do it. First of all, I had two bets. Will he complete it? And I think they give me what they give me there. I think it was. Oh, let me get this right. Right, they give me one. The odds was 100 to 1, which he won't complete it, and the other odds was 33 to 1.
Will he survive?
He won't do it in less than 12. And he'd done it in 10, and he completed it. And they screamed their head off to give me the money. But the money was for charity. I done it for that. And obviously we got the dosh off them. So whatever it was, I got 13,000 and something. One was 33 to 100 quid. That's 3,003. 100 to 100 quid is 10,000, isn't it? Yeah, and I'm no good at sums. I just worked that. Yeah. And I'd worked it out. I think if I'd have had 10 grand on the bet, I was trying to make £1 million on the bet, and I called it on with them to have a 10 grand's worth, and I was going to give it to a charity, £1 million, and I worked out, and I thought, well, if he does it, I've got £1 million, and anyhow, they wouldn't have the bet. You know what I mean? They said, we won't have it. And they give us 100 to 1 because he was 100 or 100. No, he was 101 or something.
A good PR for them as well,
Yeah, and then, they screamed their head off. You know what I mean? About it after. But if I'd have got the 10 grand on, it was £1 million to come back. Yeah. And I thought that was quite clever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There are some gurus out there, business gurus who've done phenomenally well. And they have put marketing at the forefront. They really have put marketing at the forefront, no matter what it is they're in. And I've learned from that and doing bits and pieces which are unconventional. But marketing is not a luxury. It's not something you can pay lip service to. You know, there's social media and all that stuff, but that is saturated. You need to find other ways as well. And you were doing this in an era when there was no such thing as mobile, smartphones and all that stuff. Yeah. You were more like guerrilla type marketing, and it was stuff that was just out there. You know, the number plates, the vans.
Well, the vans was the most, I would say, most recognisable van on the road. Yeah. And classy and all. Yeah. You know, if I'm being honest, I remember talking to Dynarod. They wanted to buy us out years ago. And the guy said, we got the most noticeable one. I think it was like illuminated orange. And he couldn't see it. I mean, would you want one of them parts outside your house? Yeah. Let everyone know, you know, drains are blocked. You know what I mean? And I thought, you guys ain't getting it. Yeah. Yeah. And we had like what I call classy van there. And the number plates worked. And I just had this, you know, there's millions of tradesmen or businesses that go around driving vans and that, not sign written. Yeah. And I think to myself, you shouldn't be in business because our best advertising tool was our vans. Yeah. And, you know, people pay to go on a taxi, advertise on a bus. on boards, and we're driving around London. The best advertising marketing tool we had was the vans, and it didn't cost us no money because all you do is get it done. Exactly. It's done.
And they're moving around London.
And the amount of work that we used to get from that, and as you said, you know, the vans. And then I came up with an idea. Well, make the vans attractive, great marketing. Put the number plate on for the obvious, and then I came up with a sign on the top of it which said "on call." And can I just explain where I got the idea from? Like a little sign on the top.
Was that
on
doctors
call.
Or something?
Where?
Was that doctors or?
Doctors, no.
Yeah, no.
I'll come up with what's the most recognisable vehicle on the road, right? It's obviously fire, police, ambulance. Well, you can't copy them, but what's the next most recognisable out there? You're going to think black taxi, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
you're right.
Yeah.
So you should see a taxi come along, it's got hire. You don't want a taxi, but you're looking, aren't you? Yeah. And you go, that taxi's for hire. That taxi's for hire. And then all of a sudden I thought, so I copied that. I couldn't do yellow because of taxis. And the first one I come to, I think, so I put on call. And then we eventually changed it to Pimlico. And now people just go, you look and go, oh, it's a Pimlico van. Don't want a plumber, but all of a sudden, and that worked marvellous. Absolutely spot on. And it ain't nothing clever, but I kept thinking...
Well, it's not clever to you because you came up with it, but there are many people who didn't.
Well, there's many people that don't put sign written on... I mean, if I ever become mayor of London,
is that
then...
something you're thinking of?
Eh?
Is that something you're thinking about?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I nearly went with it last time, and unfortunately, because I had the Pimlico, it would have been too loaded, you know, because I'd do away with cycle lanes, I'd do away with congestion, emission charges, all this nonsense, and get London moving again. And, well, I said that, bicycle lanes, I mean, they've just got to go, you know what I mean?
Especially around here.
Well,
you know,
anyway, I mean, look.
But I know, like, if you try and drive your car around here at a certain time, you can't even move with cyclists.
Yeah. Well, look, cycle lanes empty 22 hours a day. And they turn two traffic lanes into one. I ain't no good at sums, but 2 into 1 don't go, does it? You know. So I'd put it all back as it was, and London would be booming.
I'll look out for your campaign, and you've been quite outspoken when it comes to sort of political affairs in the past, even with COVID, in the early days of COVID. And wasn't there something where no
jab, no job?
Yeah, no jab, no job.
You know, now people were screaming their head off at me. You're forcing employers. I ain't forcing nobody. They have a choice. If you're going to stay with Pimlico, then all the plumbers need to have the jab, and it was a winner because customers are ringing up. Oh, have your plumbers been jabbed? The ones that had them, we geared them all up with them flow test things. So they turn up at an house, do the test on the doorstep. I mean, you know, it ain't. People was begging for a plumber, and you know, we was more busier in the pandemic because we was I don't know what they called it. We was allowed to work on the base necessary services or something, and you know, we was incredibly busy, non-stop. You know what I mean? And they got all the other people sitting at home. And I can't do this, I can't do that. Yes, you can do it. Yeah. Don't follow the flow. I mean, look at the difference here. Government was giving people to sit at home and do nothing. We was giving our plumbers incentives to come and work. We give them a score a day extra. We give them free food, all office staff. We give them free parking. People couldn't wait to come and work. And you know, we had we got like the machine in our reception. Everyone had to. Every time you come in, had to be checked with the temperature. Where everyone was geared up with the gloves, the footwear, and sanitisers, and well, it was safer in work than staying at home.
So you responded to that situation well, and the business again kicked on, did really well out of it. So now you've had your paycheck. What's life look like for you now?
Brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
I can't imagine it being bad with 150 bags in your pocket. but you know, how you spending your time?
Well, first of all, as you know, I've got singing artist Rara, who's undoubtedly going to make a big success. Just done an album in Nashville.
Is there an album? What's it called? Have you ever got a name for it yet?
Again, she can't disclose it at the moment, but out in September. She's got one record there called Biker Boy, and it's the nuts.
And it's Rara.
Rara.
And is there a social media?
Yeah, well, actually, she's had to. She's not. Okay. She had it. She's not launched at the moment because we've got to like put the whole package together. But anyhow, look, it ain't going to be difficult. Rara and
there's not too many of.
Yeah, look, it's 1,000,000 to 1. You know what I mean? If I could get a bet on the bookies that this album will be a bestseller, then I'll have it. And actually, I need to go and sort that out.
Go speak to
so in the music business, I bought into the radio station. I'm
Yeah.
chairman of that, and that's, I think, connects with the music. Again, I'm dealing with in property in Spain, Dubai, London. The mayor thing, you know, hopefully you're going to be running for that.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 years away now.
What will you run, as an independent or for?
Oh, undoubtedly independent, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, look, if the Tories use their loaf, then they need to take me on board.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously if I work with them, I could definitely make it happen, you know, because you've got a lot.
Yeah,
and I ain't going to use their dosh. I think it was, who was it, Sean Bailey? I think they spent £3 million. I'll use my own money to promote myself. And do you know I'd have in my corner?
Who?
Tell me if you're going to be shocked here. And I know I could have him in my corner, Nigel Farage.
Well, I've seen that you've spoken to him in the past. And,
Yeah. Well, I know Nigel anyhow. And I put it in a couple of interviews, and I bumped into he was at Cheltenham Races a few weeks ago, Gold Cup, and he's in the next box. So he comes in, I know the geezer anyhow. And I said there was something had been in the paper. I said I'd have him in my corner. I said, did you see that, Nigel? He said, yeah. I said, you okay with that? And he went, yeah. You know. So, but I mean, you know, whether you like him or don't like him, it gets the publicity. If it weren't for Nigel, we would be Remain. Now I'm a strong Remainer, but you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Unfortunately, they've got it wrong on this time, but time will tell. I hope it works out, but I can see us reversing it. Yeah. But if it weren't for Nigel, wouldn't have had Brexit. It weren't, if it's I don't know what's the other, Trump. I mean, you know, Trump ain't a mug, is he? I was working out who's the most PR people in our country, who gets all the attention. So it's obviously Boris. It's their main one. Yeah. And the next one I'd say is Nigel. Yeah. A lot of people, you know, don't reckon Boris. He's still Prime Minister.
Yeah, he's still there.
A lot of people don't like me. Yeah. I'm still the richest plumber in the world.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I thought I'd slip that in.
No, and it's a very good point, actually, you know, because, again, interestingly, barristers, they always talk about, you know, barristers are on strike and the fees, and you may or may not know that. There's huge pay cuts for barristers. And one of the taglines is, plumbers even make more than barristers. Yeah. But to be fair, you made more than perhaps half of the world. So, you know what I mean? Plumbers, with looking at you, make more than everybody. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I mean, look, people think you're a banker, you're in finance, you're an accountant, you're, I don't know, what else do they do? You know, I'm not going to say about, well, even, obviously, doctors earn a few quid, but, you know, it doesn't mean because you've got a degree and you've got this high-flying job or brokers, doesn't mean that you're going to crack it off. Yeah. Rightly, as you said, I used to say to many people, a good plumber will earn as much as any bank manager. Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. But again, you've got to have that mindset. You got to know your value, and I think we undervalue ourselves a lot. Like over here, you know, if you're successful, unfortunately, we get a lot of people that don't like it, or hate you. You know, the haters. But I've never met a hater that's doing better than me.
Well, it's funny, that, isn't it?
Yeah. And then in America, they lap you up success. Yeah. Great car, great business, great attitude. And that's what we need to do. We need to encourage more people. Absolutely. And I know I don't know what going from one to the other, but we should do tours at the business, and we'd have charities come round, and we'd have Princess Trust, all the kids, and you know, most of them youngsters on there had a difficult bringing up, or something's gone quite wrong with them. You know, many things it can be, and they joined the Princess Trust to get a bit of hope. And when they used to come with us, or I'd go and do a talk for the Princess Trust, the two questions they used to ask me straight away. One was, do you really drive a Bentley? And the answer is yes. And so I'd show them it or pictures. And the second one was, at the time, do you really earn £1 million? Are you a millionaire? And the answer is yes. And I'd say to anybody that, you know, if they're the things that impress people and want them to get on, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. And that's what got me on. This guy showed me all the bits, and I thought, I want that. And I say to the Princess Trust guys, you'll have one of these one day. They go, oh no, I never will I? I said, but you will. You can make it happen. But what I'm probably getting at is we all learn from somebody. It's like a youngster see a footballer and he's got a Ferrari and they want one. And, you know, okay, to be a footballer, it's you know, not many of them make it, but there's other ways to become a millionaire than being a footballer or a banker.
Absolutely. You will have inspired many young men and boys and girls to become plumbers. You will have for sure, because just like Bill did for you, he made you realise there is another way, and not only is there light at the end of the tunnel, it's a bloody bright light. It can be a bright
I
light.
like that.
Now, the light that you've got at the end of the tunnel is like an eclipse. You know, it's so bright. You will pull a lot of young people through, and it's a credit to you. The same way the system has been telling, barristers, doctors, solicitors, accountants, they've been shouting from the rooftops over the years, and people, young people have been drawn towards that. You are a magnet to draw other people into another area, and I think the world needs more people like you who have made fortunes in their own respective fields by being unconventional. And Charlie, I think by far I can easily say you didn't get the memo. You didn't get the memo.
I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't too. And it's been great speaking with you. I look forward to see what happens with Rara. I'm going to keep an eye on the radio station, but look out for Charlie and Rara and in the music business, because you've got the learnings, you've got the skills, you're going to make a success of it, without a doubt, irrespective of your knowledge and background of music. Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. It's all about the drive. But again, I'd say to somebody, just learn off of somebody, and whether you pick up anything off of me, you do or you don't, that's your call. But we all got to learn off somebody and just be different. The one of the things with the university is, the teachers, they're telling the kids, go university. Why? That's because they went university. But, they need, like, sort of more, whether it be unusual people, to go into school and say, look, I've got this car, I've got this, I go on lovely holidays, and I'm a plumber. Yeah. And you just need to sow the seed, and whether you're a plumber or I'm probably going to say there's life without a degree. Mm-hmm. And it's all about drive, willpower, and wanting to succeed. And if you don't, just blame yourself. Don't blame anybody else.
100%. I think it's an Afghani saying, which is along the lines of, if you don't like the reflection in the mirror, don't break the mirror.
Yeah.
Break yourself. Change yourself.
Yeah. And just take chances. Mm. And, as you said, I know many people, whether they want to be a plumber or whether they just want to run their own business or whether they want to be an hairdresser. And, you can just let them see what you've done. Yeah. And, I can only put a point across to people by success. I've got nothing else to say to people. I'm just saying is, look, if you want to succeed, I'm not going to say, look at me, I'm the only one that's done it, but many, many people have become millionaires without the academic side of it. It's just the drive, the willpower, and never give in. I mean, if you give in, you're not going to make it.
Absolutely. Charlie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thoroughly enjoyed speaking to you, and can't wait to see what happens next with you. But you are an inspiration to many young people, and I think you epitomise what is possible if you just knuckle down, take chances, use what you've got, work where you are, and you'll discover your own acre of diamonds in your own field. And you've definitely done it. I mean, we're sat here in the £10 million pad with views all over London, with celebs upstairs. It's not unusual, by the way. And his apartment's not quite as big as this in terms of, anyway, but that's my just what I'd mention that. I mean, you've made it, and credit to you. And other young people will be watching this, and they know this is also possible.
Yeah, and I'll just add this. I bought a book out, and would I have ever dreamed of bringing a book out? Of course I want to. Yeah. But I don't know, a book, autobiography, and what do you call it? And business tips. Yeah. It's called Bog Standard Business. Yeah. And I ain't trying to promote it as far as money goes, but it's a lot of advice and tips in there, just like me talking now. Straightforward stuff. Yeah. And I'm just saying to someone, all the money goes to children anyhow from the book. My children.
Absolutely.
And we haven't mentioned I've got OBE. So I've got OBE for plumbing services, which is unheard of. And that wasn't on the cards. But again, I'm going to say, if you do something different and you stick out from the crowd and it happens to be a success, I mean, where you know what I mean. There's no stopping. But when you know, I speak to many successful people, and then all of a sudden they go, "You got OBE," like, you know, and they start all that nonsense.
Yeah.
I bet you bought that, didn't you? Well, look, if you could buy them, I would have bought a knighthood, wouldn't I? But I'm just saying, I'm saying is, you know, you haven't necessarily got to reach the top of the ladder, but as long as you get on the ladder, and you know, just work your way up. But you know, even if you don't run your own business, you can still work for someone and be successful.
But you're as recognised and as decorated as anybody else out there who's achieved in their own field, and plumbing is not. It's no less worthy of recognition or accolade or OBE or recognition than any other field.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, again, like years ago, sort of, you as a plumber, that was looked down on.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, when I was first started off as an apprentice, we used to go to these posh houses and have a sign up, tradesmen go round the back. Right? Well, that's all changed now. When your plumber goes to a job now, they're like, open arms for them, cup of tea. You know, it's changed, and you've got to recognise that the world has changed. But as I say, when I used to go and I think, go round the back, I used to think, you cheeky fuckers, like, you know what I mean? Now, as I say, it's like, oh, we're lovely to see you. Yeah. Oh, so pleased and all that. And
to see it.
Yeah, that's it. The world's changed, but there's life without a degree.
No, absolutely.
What you do need is I know I'm waffling, driving, and because I so much know that I actually think there's a millionaire in everybody. You've just got to bring it out.
Couldn't disagree. You know, I couldn't agree with you anymore. It is absolutely within everybody. I think everyone has that opportunity, but most people won't realise it. Most people won't realise it, and unfortunately, they'll take it to their graves with them. Ideas that they never followed through. Someone told them they couldn't. They believed. They, you know, and stuff like this, it just chips away.
Yeah, look, don't listen to negative people. You know, for sure, people that make it are positive. And you just got to have that positive mindset. I mean, you know, I used to be, you know, not as sort of confident, obviously, you know, because I never achieved anything like up to 15. You know, I've done nothing. All I've done was boxing, and you know that was good. You know, I'm not going to say, you know, but I won more than I lost, put it like that. And then you realise that, you know, can I make something of myself? And I'm going back to what I'm saying. Everybody is good at something. It's just a matter of finding it and staying with it and never give in.
Yeah.
Never give up.
Charlie, thank you very much.